This video features some modifications for mobility and strength for the prenatal athlete. I'm currently 6.5 months pregnant, and I've been training with Mace for a while, so I'm going to be using the 7-pound. If you're new to Mace, I definitely recommend having a smaller Mace, potentially even a 5-pound Mace. So you can start with the Mace at the front of your mat with the ball on the left side. Other props that will benefit you are having a couple of blocks. You can use cork blocks or any type of yoga block. And I really like having a bolster, a pillow, or 2 blankets rolled up, and this allows you to modify the baby cobra so that your belly is safe from pressing onto the floor. So we'll be going through mobility exercises, lots of body weight and breath work and connecting with baby, and we'll be building into some strength as well. And just remember, as you're training for pregnancy, it's the biggest athletic event of your life, and so keeping an element of the warrior archetype and that mental stamina and focus is really beneficial, and also just staying mobile in your joints and staying strong so that you have the endurance to be able to go through a birth healthily and safely, and also in a good mental space. Please start at the back of your mat. The modification for child's pose is to widen out the knees, take the hips to the heels, and then generally, if you have the shoulder mobility, you can stretch your arms all the way out. Sometimes it feels good to prop up your forehead using 2 closed fists. We'll start with just grounding into the breath. Take a big inhale through the back body, expanding the lungs. Pausing at the top of the in-breath and exhale. You can do a little wiggle side to side, just kind of opening the hips a bit here. Really great for decompressing your lower back if you've been having any low back pain. Take a couple more rounds, just settling and scanning the body and seeing where you're at today. Knowing that every time you come to the mat, it's a slightly different feel. Just being in that sense of awareness and cultivating a deeper connection with mind and body through the breath. And then slowly rise, coming onto hands and knees. You can start with your hands shoulder distance apart, knees hip distance apart. Exhale, tuck and round the back, coming into cat pose. Press the earth away and think about tearing your mat apart under your 2 hands. Let your head hang heavy, just releasing your neck. Inhale, shine the heart forward, spread the collarbones, drop your shoulders down just a hair. Exhale, tuck your toes, stretching the plantar fascia. It's getting the feet some mobility here. And inhale. Exhale, tuck and round the back, ha. And inhale, shine the heart forward. So we tend to live a lot here in pregnancy as an excessive lordotic curve. Definitely want to do the reverse and press the earth away, maybe even shift the shoulders forward a bit here. We'll transition into sunbird from here. So on your exhale, tuck and round your back, coming into cat pose. Inhale, reach the toe up and back, arc the spine, engaging posterior chain. Exhale, tuck and round, ha, empty lungs, and inhale. Aim for 4 to 5 repetitions, moving with your breath. You can follow along with me or go a rate that's slower or faster, depending on your energy levels and what stage of pregnancy you're in. Exhale and inhale. Float the leg down, reposition. Corkscrew the eye of the elbow forward, pack the shoulders, find your lat engagement, press the earth away, rounding into cat pose, left knee to nose. Inhale, reach the foot up and back. Imagine pressing the toes to the back of the head here. Exhale, tuck and round, ha, and inhale. Exhale, and inhale. Shine the heart forward, spread your toes, connect the heart with the solar plexus here. Really merging those 2 energetic centers on your mat, connecting your heart with the little being that's growing inside of you. Last one. And float it down. Wide knee child's pose, hips to heels, just resetting the spine for a brief moment here. Option to bring the forehead down to the floor, option to take the stacking of the 2 wrists if you'd like. Inhale, lift, come back to hands and knees. This next one is ideal for any discomfort you're experiencing in your upper mid-back. So the base position is our quadruped. We'll be moving into arm threads. Touch your left hand along your right arm, then brush it along your heart. heel all the way up. You may or may not have the mobility here, but just do your best. On your exhale, thread your left arm underneath your body, and I like to kind of pivot the foot out to hold here, just giving me a little more support. Inhale, but you can also keep your legs pointed straight ahead, which would look like this. But my hips want to do this little shifting, so I'm just letting them shift, and then hooking the foot on the back of the leg to create a little more sense of stability in my low back. Also waking up the feet. And where I feel this the most is just right in the QL, which can be an area that definitely gets a little tight with just everyday life of living in a pregnant body. Exhale. Return to center. Just take a moment to reflect. What's the difference between the right and left sides? How did that feel? How did that land? And then switch sides. Inhale, peel the right hand up, look up, hold, find your neck rotation here. And then exhale. If you need to widen out your stance here to create more space, if you need to widen your knees, do what feels best for you, because every body's a little different, and some people carry high, some people carry low, so just modify as needed. I'll show you a lot of really awesome tricks of still being able to access the poses taught in a regular yoga class, so that you're not limited to just going to prenatal yoga, but you can still keep your athletic edge throughout your pregnancy. Last one here. And back to center. Hips to heels, child's pose, ha, let it go. Inhale, lift. Now we're gonna start using blocks here. So you can place your blocks about shoulder distance apart. Think of these as ground extenders here, just allowing you to get a little more lift so it's not so hard for you to go all the way from the floor. So lift, find your hollow body, corkscrew the arms into the floor. Here you'll notice my lats are fully engaged, shoulders are packed, and then step the foot on the outside of the right block with the right hand, squeeze the knee against the arm. Option to curl the back toe under, lift the knee, lower the knee, press back, in child's pose. You can keep the toes tucked under, and it's just a quick little reset, so we don't need to go so wide with the knees, but just kind of back as much as your belly allows. Lift and step. Squeeze knee against arm, pack the shoulders, tone the back glute. Option to lift the back leg. Think of this as a primer for your plank position, building strength in your lats, and just keeping that mobility of being able to step through, so when you move into a flowing practice that you still have that fast twitch muscle recruitment of being able to step through seamlessly. Exhale. You'll notice I'm moving into more mouth breathing as I'm doing these little conditioning drills or primers. Last one here. All right, so I'd love to show you how to modify for a twisting runner's lunge. So generally in your non-pregnant body, your feet would be about hip distance apart. It's really beneficial and feels good to widen out your legs. So you'll see how my leg is all the way out here. This just makes more room for baby in the twist. So anytime an instructor calls out twisted runner's lunge of some variation and you still want to twist towards your bent leg, just widen out your stance, open out, and still get that thoracic rotation, which can be so good for just decompressing your upper back. So there it is with the knee down. Curl back to under, lift the knee. Level 2 variation would be here. And some schools of thought think that we should just limit any and all twists from the yoga practice while pregnant, but I disagree. I think that having that mobility, especially since you're caring for a full 9 months, is really beneficial to keep that mobility in the body. Because what happens if we don't mobilize it, we start to build fascial adhesions and myofascial density in the area, and it's just going to be that much harder to regain that mobility after pregnancy. Here's the wide variation. Notice I'm still twisting towards my bent leg, but I've got a lot more space here, and it just brings about a stretch also in my legs and hips as well. And reset in child's pose, hips to heels. All right, you can use the blocks or not for downward facing dog. I've been liking using the blocks, but depending on your surface, they might slip a little bit. So I might kind of show some variations with and without the blocks. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle sweep, arms up. Exhale, hands to prayer. Hands by your side, active mountain pose. This is an opportunity to reset the posture. You can take your hands to the front and back of your pelvic girdle. Notice you're living here. Body is going to be adjusting. See if you can bring the pelvis to neutral, create a little more space, broaden across the ribs as well. Couple more shoulder mobility drills I'd love to show you. First one is chair pose, Utkatasana. So take the feet together, big toes together, knees touch as you come down to Utkatasana. Extend your arms up overhead, inhale. On the exhale, slide the elbows down the back body. This feels so good just for opening up the front line. Inhale and exhale. Think about kind of taking almost like the opposite of cat pose, like coming into cow in this. Inhale, lengthen, spiral the arms up, exhale. Squeezing the knees together, great for some sacroiliac stability. If you struggle with that, anything where you're squeezing the knees together or potentially even modifying by sliding a block between the legs to inspire internal rotation and adduction. It's going to bring about a little bit more stability in the sacroiliac joint. Inhale. So you tend to struggle with pain coming from that region. Start to find your adduction, find your isometric contractions. Final shoulder mobility drill. Take the arms out to a T. Close the fists. Find your neutral pelvis. Elevate, rotate, screw the shoulder down, and unscrew. Elevate, rotate, screw the shoulder down, and unscrew. Option to add a diagonal squat. Again, finding a bit of rotation, finding your sit back. Notice my eye gaze follows the opposite hand to inspire a stretch along the upper trap. Seem to move with the breath. Always encourage you to do some shoulder mobility drills before you pick up a mace, just to prime your rotator cuff and your lats, and the whole kinetic chain of the arms. Shoulder circles up, down and back, up, down and back. Really work on squeezing the rhomboids together here, all the way down. So it's protraction, elevation, retraction, depression, and driving as if you have two shovels, you're sticking them into the earth, keeping the chin off the chest. The tendency for prenatal bodies is to come into this position here. So anytime we have the opportunity to create length in the cervical spine, drawing the back of the skull up and back and crown of head up, can help to alleviate any pain. You can always revert back to your neck slides, side to side neck slides, and also neck circles. And sometimes on days when you're feeling like you can't really do much, neck mobility can make a world of difference with just oxygenating the spine and getting blood flow to the brain so that you can stay focused, stay alert, and just have more connection with mind and body. All right, let's go into our Sun Salutations. I'm gonna slide my maces forward. You'll notice how when I squat down, I'm using good squatting form. This is actually the ideal birthing position, is being able to go into a flat-footed squat because the pelvis opens up. It just allows baby to come out in a more easeful way. So keeping that in mind when you're training, that many of the mobility drills and strengthening drills we do are priming us for this actual birthing position. Modifications for Sun Salutations. Take a much wider stance so that when you forward fold, belly does not collide on thighs. Starting in mountain pose, inhale, circle sweep, arms up, look up. On the exhale, forward fold over the legs, bend the knees a lot here, head hangs heavy like a bowling ball, let it go. Inhale, halfway lift, come to fingertips on the block, crown to coccyx alignment, pack those shoulders. Exhale, fold. Grip the block, step back to your high plank or modified plank, packing the shoulders, finding that hollow body position. Now, coaches or teachers will often call out baby cobra, and then we're left thinking, man, I really need that extension in the spine. Not quite sure how to get it. If you place a bolster right at your thighs, watch, there's gonna be this cool little spot where belly can go, and then you can inhale, and I'm resting on the front of my pelvis so I can still achieve my baby cobra and get that extension in my upper thoracic spine. And exhale. So I like to just keep my bolster to the side so I can just sneak it in and no one even notices. Because again, it's all about creating those modifications that allow the practice to be accessible for us. Downward facing dog, bend the knees, tilt the pelvis back. Take a few rounds of breath here. Inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, bend the knees, walk, jump, or float the feet to meet the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold over the legs. Option to grab the elbows, traction down. Inhale, circle sweep, arms up, look up. Exhale, hands to prayer, hands by your side. Sun Salutation A, that was the modified variation. We'll go into the full Sun Salutation A next. Inhale, circle sweep, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Notice I'm keeping my spine segmentally stabilized as I lower. Once I come to my version of forward fold, my spine comes into full flexion. There's traction at the base of the neck. Inhale, halfway lift, come to a flat back. Exhale, fold, step back to a high plank. Breath in. Shift the shoulders forward, wrap the eye of the elbow forward, chaturanga, low plank or as low as you can go. So I'm modifying, I'm not going to a full 90. Inhale, upward facing dog, retracting the scapula back. So micro bend the elbows, pull the shoulder blades back, tone your glutes lightly here, and then exhale, roll over the toes, downward facing dog. So there's not much of a pike because my core is not super active. So turning the toes earlier will help you achieve that. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, walk, jump, or float the feet to meet the hands. Nice wide stance. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold over the legs. You can take a wide leg malasana here, garland pose, or the yogi squat. Just taking a moment to open the hips. Widen out your feet as much as you need here. And exhale, forward fold, empty the lungs. Inhale, circle sweep, arms up. And exhale, hands to prayer, and hands by your side. I'd recommend doing a couple more rounds of the Sun A. If you'd like to learn a modification for Sun B, I'll go through that as well. Feet together, Utkatasana chair pose. If you need to widen the feet, go right ahead. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, widen the feet as you forward fold, hands come to the blocks. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, fold, step back to a high plank. Tone your glutes here, pack your shoulders, get solid. Option to lower the knees. Option to lower halfway down or full chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Curl the toes under, point the toes rather. Retract your scapula back. Exhale, downward facing dog. One round of breath, inhale and exhale. Inhale, kick the right leg up and back, three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose. Option to help it out if you need to by reaching underneath. Spiral your back heel down, hands to prayer, rise up, pack the shoulders and hold, and breathe. Option to extend the arms. Option to press the palms together, generating a spiral energy up through the hands as you sink down into the feet. Inhale, and exhale, flex the wrist, hinge forward, plant palms, step back, high plank. Shift the shoulders forward, chaturanga, low plank. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. One round of breath, inhale. And exhale. Inhale, left leg up, three-legged dog. Exhale, step through. Spiral back foot down, 45 degrees. Rise up, shortening your lever arm at first. We'll take some pressure off your low back. Then when and if you're ready to extend your arms, create a spiral in your arms here. Find your shoulder pack. Classical asana form or level 2, pressing palms together, looking up. Notice my head goes back in extension here, releasing cervical spine. Exhale, flex the wrist, hinge forward with control. You should be able to pause at any point, building strength in the practice. Step back, high plank. Chaturanga, low plank. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a round of breath here, inhale, and exhale. Inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, bend the knees, walk, jump, or float the feet to meet the hands. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, circle sweep, arms up. And exhale, hands to prayer, hands by your side, mountain pose. You still feel free to check in with heart and with belly, cultivating a deep connection between the two. And open the eyes, hinge forward, and grab your mace in a spine intelligent way. Take an over grip, hover the mace along the floor, row the mace to your chest, rise up, and stack your mace in warrior. So the steel mace is a modern rendition of an ancient tool, which was used for centuries to train warriors for battle. So as we train with this tool, you might notice different areas start to feel more empowered, more alive, more prana, more life force. Stay with your breath, take care of yourself, and do modify as you're first learning mechanics of the mace. This is referred to as the globe, this is the mid grip, and this is the handle. This is a prayer position, similar to as if I was standing here with my hands together without the mace, it would look like prayer. We just call this prayer position. Let's take away the standing element so that we can ensure full glute activation. So here's me in passive glutes. I'm just stacking my bones. Press the hips all the way forward as if you were to prepare for going into a camel pose. Glutes are engaged, hips are aligned right over the knees, tops of the feet are pressing down. Once you've established that position, take the mace to a mid grip if you're just starting out and find your prayer position. Pack your shoulders, think about wringing out your mace like a washcloth. Externally rotate, bring your mace to one side, find your shoulder pack, angle the globe in just a hair here, and back to center. Aim for about 3 to 4 repetitions. Notice my eye gaze follows the mace, finding my neck mobility here. And I'm doing the opposite of what the body tends to want to do when all the weight is carried in the front of the body. The fascial lines start to shorten in that direction. So here, I'm strengthening the back line, so I'm strengthening posterior chain, my rear delts, my lats, my rhomboids are getting active, so I can come into a new position and encourage my fascia to take on a new shape. Next progression, inhale, bring the mace into back position. Notice my glutes are still on. Exhale, come into modified side flag. Inhale, back position. And exhale, ha. Show it from a few different angles. So depending on your strength, you may be able to do 3, maybe able to do 5. Eventually over time, if you feel ready to progress to level 2 or choke up on your mace, you can move into a full side flag. Inhale, back position, and exhale. Common misalignment here is to clunk your mace passively into position, drop everything, and come forward here. But what we're working on here is the scapula-wingian tipping. So much better to yield your mace with leverage. So leverage is holding that globe over its point of rotation with control and lat activation. And then eventually over time, this can turn into a partial swing once you've got that in your practice. Here. Again, if you're new to mace, don't worry about the swing, that will happen later on. Take a moment to rest, inhale. And exhale, check in with baby. Inhale. And exhale. So I'll demo a warm-up round. If you feel inspired to do a couple practice rounds, I recommend 90 seconds of work, 30 seconds of rest. The next progression we'll work on is shoulder cast to flag position. So I'm gonna slide my bolster out of the way just so I have room to move around. And you can see it from all angles. So one of the key components of coming into a flat-footed squat or the birthing position is creating an active hip hinge on the way down. So how we can isolate that movement from a kneeling position, first body weight, think about initiating your movement from your hips, creating a mind-muscle connection with crown to coccyx alignment. Here is my hip hinge. As I rise up, pack the shoulders, squeeze the glutes. So on days when you're feeling like bearing load on your feet is just too much, but you still want to get a good glute workout, you can start with air squats or modified kneeling to kind of a half squat position. And then eventually over time, when you feel ready to add your mace, it looks like this. So I've got my shoulder cast to two-handed flag position. Find my sit back here. Return back to the starting position. This is called guard. Inhale, glide the mace into the back pocket. On the exhale, bring the mace to the center of the body, press it out to two-handed flag, work on the hip hinge, pack the shoulders. My back feels great here because it's getting a nice activation in extensors. I'll demo about 5 repetitions on this side, moving into more of a primal breathing pattern. Inhale and exhale. And then switch sides. I like to have the hand closest to the handle here for maximum leverage. If I was to have my hand up above, it's gonna decrease how much leverage or how much load, so I like to have it at the bottom here. Common misalignment for this one is the elbow wing out, or just dropping the mace like right behind the head. Our goal here is we're working on shoulder stability. So I have to inspire internal rotation, and almost like you're making a little window for your head to go through. You might first start with just two-handed flags, eventually keeping the shoulders back, balancing, angling the mace towards you just slightly to get that full hip hinging action. Inhale. Double exhale if you'd like for force level breath. Inhale. One more, and exhale. Let's take a look at how that translates into a flat-footed squat. So I'm gonna use my mace and see if I can practice standing up. You might need to set your mace down and use your hands for support to get up as well. So, similar movement, similar mechanics. Inhale, back position. Exhale, press the mace to two-handed flag. You might be in a partial squat. Maybe you're in a full, just depending on your mobility. Inhale, and exhale. If you have a 360 swing in your practice, 360 to two-handed flag. We'll rotate just for a slightly different angle here. Other side, inhale, back position, and exhale, two-handed flag. Packing the shoulders. Super low impact way to train my flat-footed squat. Also keeping my posture, my postural muscles in the posterior chain active so that they don't start to atrophy. If I never train my posterior chain and I just start to get everything on stretch, over time, I'm gonna get really bound in my back body, so I really wanna keep that mobility. If you're swinging, bring your mace to prayer, block, dump, pull back to prayer, then two-handed flag. And place the mace down, chugging breath, inhale through the nose. On the chug, exhale, bounce it out. Inhale, and exhale. So those are some beginning mace exercises to start with. I recommend drilling those, getting comfortable with those, making a circuit of those 3 exercises and cycling through 90 seconds work, 30 seconds rest, building some strength and stamina, and then check out some of the other prenatal steel mace videos that I'll be putting out. Of course, you'd want to cool down and have a good savasana at the end of practice as well. Thanks for tuning in. Namaste.